Well, good afternoon, and welcome to our first Thursday of the month webinar for Catholic Prison Ministry Coalition. We thank you for joining us on today. We are excited with the topic and the presenters that we have for today. My name is Kimberly Limore, and I am part of the Executive Committee of CPMC. So again, we welcome you on today. Our topic for today is Youth Empowerment for Success. YES is the acronym, which our presenters are from sunny California in Santa Clara County. So we're glad to have them on today. As usual, we will open up in prayer, have our presentation, have a question and answer. Today we have Father Jay DeFalco, who will be handling that piece. And then at the end, we'll have some announcements. So let's begin as we come into the presence of God. Again, I found a prayer for a scriptural prayer, actually, for those who are incarcerated, especially our youth and adults. So let's just go into the presence of God. Good and gracious God, we thank you for being a God of grace and mercy. Thank you for protecting our friends, our family members, and loved ones who are incarcerated. Thank you for your faithful love, which endures forever. Forgiving God, we commit our incarcerated loved ones to you. We confess that as they trust in you and give you their lives, that you will be with them and not allow them to be disgraced, nor will you let their enemies rejoice in their defeat. We declare that you will show our incarcerated youth and adults the right path and point out the road for them to follow. We decree that they will be obedient and allow your truth to lead and teach them. We confess that it is in you and you alone that they will put their hope. We declare a hedge of protection around our loved ones and that no weapon formed against them shall prosper. Holy Spirit, we ask that you encourage those who have become discouraged. Remind them that God is forever with them, for he will never leave them nor forsake them. For those who have been wrongfully imprisoned, we ask that you would bring truth and revelation to their cases and open doors for them to be released. Please strengthen their faith in you, God, and draw them closer to you. Please comfort and strengthen and encourage them and their family members. As we go forth in this workshop, we ask that those who minister to those incarcerated do so with compassion and continue to encourage them to seek the right paths in their lives. Mold each of us into the ministers that you need us to be. Almighty God, you alone are God. You are the Alpha and the Omega. All our destinies are in your mighty hand, and we pray in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. Again, our presenters today are from YES, Youth Empowerment for Success, and it is a multi-program division that works with gang-impacted youth. During this presentation, they will describe their approach to working with gang-impacted youth, as well as developing and maintaining collaborative relationships with partners. So today we welcome our presenters, So'o Poumele, Jose Marquez, Monica Bravo, and Daniel Coleman. So I turn it over to their capable hands right now.
Thank you, Kimberly. So hi, everybody. I'm Dan Coleman. I'm the program director with YES. And we'll just go around and do some brief introductions.
Hello, my name is So'o Poumele with YES program.
Jose Marquez with the Street Outreach Program.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Monica, and I'm case manager with the BEST program.
So we'll go ahead and start with our presentation here. Just one sec. All right. So we're part of Catholic Charities of Santa Clara County. And just to get started, we'll give you a little map here for those who aren't familiar where Santa Clara County is. So We're in Northern California on the south side of the Bay Area. This is an aerial map of the Bay Area. So up to the north and the left, you'll see San Francisco, Oakland on the east, and then on the south side here, that's the Bay Area. So this is where we provide our services. And just to familiarize everybody with the location, it is Silicon Valley. So here's all your favorite tech companies that exist in Santa Clara County. And then here is San Jose City. So this is an outline of San Jose City where we provide the majority of our services. And so just to begin, I want to let you know about some of our collaborations. So we collaborate with the City of San Jose, the San Jose Police Department, other school, community-based organizations, as well as schools. So we have a lot of good collaborative partnerships. And we come together in something called the Youth Empowerment Alliance, where we try to come together to better serve our youth. It has a real positive outcome on the work that we do. So we'll start with our Bringing Everyone's Strength Together program.
And so as Dan mentioned, these are some of the programs that we provide in our scope of services. So basically it's called the BEST program. So you may hear us refer to that acronym BEST, which is Bringing Everyone's Strengths Together. This is a funding source that we get that's from the federal government to provide services that we're going to share a little bit about today. For the most part, there's a lot of key components to what the BEST program provides, because like Dan said, we partnership with other CBOs that does the same work. But before we get started, I definitely just want to say that what you're going to hear from us is our personal experience doing this type of work. And even when we talk about gangs, our focus is mainly in San Jose. I can't speak about what happens in Chicago. We cannot speak about what happens in Seattle. We're going to talk about our experience with the gangs that we deal with here in San Jose. So I just want to make sure that folks understand that we're not going to be talking about the whole United States. We're just talking about what's being impacted, what we're doing here in San Jose, California. So the key components for our BEST program is simply street outreach, which we'll be talking a little bit about, pro-social activities, support groups. So we do a lot of groups, case management, late night gym. So people are going to ask, well, what is late night gym? And we'll get into details what that looks like. And the other programs that we provide too is also in juvenile hall, which we'll share a little bit about as well. And at any time, if you have a question, feel free to stop us, because this is a smaller group, so I like to have it more intimate. So there's gonna be plenty of time. We should be done, within 40 minutes or 30. And we'd love just to have a conversation about what we do, and if there's anything that we can share that's going to impact your city or your state, feel free just to stop us. So street outreach, you want to talk about street outreach?
Yeah. So street outreach, we're funded to do outreach in some of these communities. They used to call them gang hotspots, but recently they changed the name because they don't want to label the community as a gang area, because it could impact the value of some of the houses, and a lot of the community don't like them being labeled as a gang area. So we're funded to go out to the streets and look for some of the youth that are out there hanging out in the alleys or outside the schools that fit what we're looking for in kids that are wearing gang colors. We with outreach, it also comes when there's also a homicide. We go out to do a home visit and see how we can help the families with either connecting to the resources to bury their loved ones, or with food. Sometimes when some of our youth get killed, some of the families don't, they stop thinking of, going shopping for their kids for food. So, we go out there and we try to support them in that area. So once we're doing outreach, we build trust with these youth, and we try to bring them to our youth center. Once they get comfortable and they want to come on and check out the youth center that we have. We have a beautiful gym, a game room. And once we bring them over here, it's a perfect opportunity for us to talk to them one-on-one to see how we could more help them. Either they got tattoos, or if they're having problems at school, they need bad attendance. So see how we can support them with some of those things. Like I said, once they're comfortable with us, we open up a case file on them, and we basically meet with them more on a one-on-one basis. Monica will talk about that later. But with the late night gym, we also do a lot of pro-social activities. We expose our youth to things that their parents can't take them to, either to the snow, to football games, baseball games. Some of these kids, we live like maybe 30 minutes away from the beach, and some of our youth have never even been to the beach. And so those are some of the things that we get to expose our kids to, new things that they get to experience.
Yeah, so like Marquez was sharing that, street outreach, it's really important because that's where we find those kids that are not going to school. Those are kids that are hanging out in the neighborhood, in the hoods. And so our job is to go out there, and reach them. Where a lot of people don't want to deal with them. And we talk about hotspots. I mean, this year, we just had a meeting and they changed the name from hotspots to opportunity neighborhoods. For the last 15 years or more, they were called hotspots because, they were identified through the system, through the police districts. And we'll talk a little bit about the police districts in a bit. So every hotspot, now it's called opportunity neighborhoods, those were identified because of the crimes. So, it maps up with all the shootings, all the homicides, all the violent crime that's been happening throughout the city of San Jose. And those are where we do outreach. We're funded to go out into those neighborhoods and look for those kids, and they're not hard to find because they're hanging out, they're out there, causing, problems. And our job is try to recruit them to get them to a safe place where they can program and we can better support them. So it's really important to do street outreach. And then people say, well, why do you guys, take them on field trips? Well, a lot of these kids that Marquez shared, they've never been to a beach and they've been here all their life. Some of them had never been from one side of the east side to the west side or west side to the east side. Because why? Because the gang geographical area, they can't cross boundaries, And so it's really important that the work that's been done, not just by our agency, but other agencies. There's actually only 2 agencies in the whole city of San Jose that provide street outreach. It used to be 3, but now it's only 2, and it's a lot of work that has to be done. And there are a total of 18 hotspots. 18. So out of those 18, we have 11 throughout the city of San Jose. So if you figure there's 18 and we have 11, the other agency has 7. So it's a lot of work to be done. But again, it's really rewarding because we get to see kids that have those tattoos, or we take them on field trips, become kids. They're 17, all blasted in the face with tattoos. But when you get them out of their comfort zone, when you take them down to the river, it gives them another aspect of being a kid again, and to see them smile and see them not be, so serious about life because they're worrying about, am I going to get jumped going to school? Am I going to get shot today? So those are things that we do to make sure that we continue to work.
And then at the same time that we're doing outreach, we're also doing climate check. So there's tagging up in the neighborhoods. We got an app called 311 or San Jose app. So we report it right there where the tagging's at. It'll send an email to the city of San Jose, and then if it's gang related, they have 24 hours to take it down. That way we keep the peace without other neighborhoods in the area.
And that's an important part what Marquez said. For us, street outreach, the tagging that goes up, that's the newspaper that, for a lot of us, we wake up, watch the news, it's going to rain today or there's traffic. Well, kids do the same thing. As they're going to school in the morning, the walls tell a story. That's their newspaper. They wake up and see who's coming into the neighborhoods, who's crossing out, who's at war. For us, when we see that, we know what gangs are at war. If you're from the east side and you're tagging on the west side versus north side, we're able to look at that and say, hey, these guys are crossing boundary. Before, when we see that, usually what happens after that, if they don't get it taken down, say it crossed out, and then a couple of days later, there's going to be a shooting, and the proof's in the pudding. So the city of San Jose really has been able to take those taggings down. And like Marquez said, 24 hours, if it's gang tagging, it has to go down, and so we know it's a good program that probably deters a lot of kids from going out to commit these crimes. Oh. So, Monica, you want to talk about groups?
Okay.
Should we go?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so some other services that we provide are school support groups. So we have boys and girls. We're currently at 4 different schools, and we provide life skills and pro-social skills to our youth in middle school and high schools that have been identified as like at risk, high risk by school officials. And we covered a lot of different topics, including self-esteem, healthy relationships, academics, and also sometimes it's like there happens to be a shooting, right? We'll take that into consideration and make that a priority, especially if some of the youth are friends with the person that was shot or anything like that, and we kind of create a safe space for the youth to talk about how they're feeling. And then we also provide case management to our youth. So what they can come, the case management youth can come from our school groups if they feel like they need extra support. Sometimes the teachers or the school counselors will also reach out to us and tell us, I know groups are ending, but this kid still needs continued support. So we'll pick them up for case management, provide weekly one-on-one case management. We can go to their home, their school, or meet with them out in the community, or bring them here to the community center where we work. We can also connect them to other services, right? So like employment, if they need help with like mental health services,
Food service.
court, food, anything like that, we're there to advocate for them, help them enroll in school, anything that we can help them with to be successful.
And so I think, with the groups that we provide, we do, like I said, life skills, substance abuse with a lot of the case management. We get some referrals from probation. So when probation refers kids, usually, they're on the gang unit, and then sometimes we get those referrals, and it's a lot more intensive case management when we get youth that have gang injunctions or orders. It's a lot different. Show you the right way. And yeah. All right. The next one is okay. So for late night gym, as Marquez talked, it's a program that we provide. We provide 2 late nights for 6 hours a day. So these programs are provided for high risk impacted gangs. I mean, people ask us all the time, well, why do you guys have a late night for gang members? The truth is that that's what the funding is for. It's to provide a safe place for the young men and young women who cannot function in a regular setting. You can't have these kids go into a regular setting because, number one, they'll get kicked out. Because it's a different type of, you're dealing with different behaviors. And so the funding that we provide that gets to a city, we're able to get kids that are from different neighborhoods, and that's a safer place that they feel. Now, when we're able to pick up the case management groups, we have certain days that we bring speakers to talk to them. But that's a funding that's really aimed to keep these young men and women out from the streets. They're hanging out in the corner, selling dope or, committing violence. There's 7 late nights. Last time, I believe it's 7. And it's in one of all the hot spots. And we have 2 of them. So one of them is here at the center. And then one we have, I think Dan shared another location on the west side. But those programs are a lot different because we have high risk, impacted, and gang intentional young men and women that come and we provide a safe recreation place for them.
Yeah, I mean, and so there's different late night programs. We don't label them as one's blue or red, but we have to keep them separated because otherwise we'll be having fights every late night. But we want them to feel comfortable when they come. So like I said, we don't label them. This is red late night. This is a blue late night. But we keep them separated for safety reasons.
Pretty quick.
Okay, so as So'o mentioned earlier, we also provide services at juvenile hall. And there are 3 service types that we provide. So the first one is one-on-ones. So the referrals come directly from probation, and we meet with the youth about for 30 minutes. Some of the youth are youth that we have previously worked with. Some are youth that we don't know. They might be from other cities, but we try to see how we can support them, whether that's linking them to services within Catholic Charities, mental health services, helping link them to our services, or also linking them to other CBOs as well. And then we also provide support groups at juvenile hall. So every month we're in a different unit, and we're there for about an hour and a half. And we talk about different topics like communication skills, decision-making, anger management, conflict resolution. Yeah, we're there once a week. And then after that, we move on to the next unit. But if those youth want to have a one-on-one, they're more than free to reach out to the probation counselors and request a one-on-one so we can meet with them individually. And then Secure Track, that's like more of a new rehabilitative program. So in California, there were like, is it 3 CYAs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Four California youth authorities, which are basically like mini youth prisons. But those are being closed down. The last one that is currently open is in Stockton, California, and it is going to be getting closed down this summer. So they're sending all those youth back to their respective counties. And so they opened this new program, Secure Track, for youth, who have committed pretty serious offenses like murder, assault with a deadly weapon. And so we focus on addressing different topics like family relationships, substance use, anger management. And I meet with them weekly for about 45 minutes. Currently, I've been meeting with 2 youth for the past 11 months. And talking about different topics and see how we can have them be more successful once they get released back into the community.
And the age is 24, right, for that?
Yeah, it's also up to age 24. And then depending on if they meet their goals, they can have their sentence reduced and be out sooner, or they might get transferred to county jail or prison.
Yeah, and I think it's an important aspect of our programming that we also have a presence in juvenile hall and also out on the streets. I know a lot of agencies specialize in one or the other, but this allows us to either maintain contact with the youth if they do end up getting detained, or to be that first point of contact while they're detained to help them enter into our programs and have some success once they're done.
And like Dan said, and Rob, it's really important because not only are we working with them outside in the neighborhoods, we're also working with them in the school, and then also inside the system, which we wish they would not be in. But for the most part, once they get into the system, it's easier for us to manage, knowing that they'll be out soon, and we'll be able to pick them up, and follow up with them.
So this is just a picture of our center. We have a gym you can see in the middle there. So there's a lot of fun activities we can do. Basketball, we can set up for futsal, we can set up for volleyball. We got a handball court. We can do award ceremonies in there. That's a picture of our staff up on the left. We also have a game room with some fun activities, pool table, 2 big screen TVs, video games, foosball, as well as the multi-purpose room, which allows us to have even more activities, celebrations. We've had Zumba classes in there, a robotics class. So the location where we are is really essential for our services, in that it allows us to have one centralized location where we can provide a lot of different types of fun programming for you that I think makes the work a lot easier on us and also enhances what we do.
And just to add to what Dan was saying, we're very fortunate because here at the center, we have a county school that is also here. It's easier for us to manage. So there's actually a county school that young men and women can get their diploma in high school here in our facility in Stewart County, and it's ages 16 to 24. And so a lot of our clients that we have, either they get out of juvenile hall or we work in the streets, the need is that they need to get back in school. And so, we're fortunate that we get to have a school here and refer them to go to school, and we can, see them one-on-one when we need to. And so it's been a great opportunity for us to have those kids here. And on top of that, we also have our probation program through Catholic Charities as well, who we didn't get a chance to highlight as well. But they meet with kids that are on gang probation. They come through here and they have to go through, they do an intake here as well. And they have to meet with their case management, and we also provide mental health through our other program that we didn't get a chance to list.
Yeah, and one final program we have is a community service learning program, which is a prevention and early intervention program. It's for youth who have some type of offense it's either their first offense or it's a minor offense like vandalism or shoplifting. And what our county probation department does is they don't formally put them on probation. They do get assigned a probation officer. The probation officer links them to our program. In our program, they come in for 3 classes, an orientation, and then a class that goes over the offense, the impacts of the offense on the youth, their family, and the community. And then they also go over some alternatives to offending in the future. And then their last class is a community service project where each youth creates a little presentation on what they've learned in the program, shares with the other youth, and then they all engage in some form of community service. And then after that's done, we notify probation and they're completely out of the system. We seal their records, probation seals their records, and it's a cool opportunity to divert youth from getting stuck in the system rather than just throwing them on probation and now they got something bigger to deal with. And I think in the interest of time, what we'll do is we'll go to our second point of the presentation, which is why you join gangs. So give us 1 second here. We're going to pull that up and show you. Where'd it go? Second
How many
here.
more slides do we have in the other ones? 3?
Yeah, I think it was just going over the hot spots. Okay. Switch to a slideshow. This is on why join a gang.
So basically, we're just gonna go through this and again, please feel free to stop and ask this question. Everything we're sharing today is our personal experience, working in this community in San Jose and working with young men and women that are involved with gangs. So, again, personal experience and just what we've seen in the last 20+ years here.
And I think at this point, what we could do is that if anybody's open is just get some ideas on why do you all feel, or what would you think would be some contributors to why youth would join a gang? If anybody feels comfortable sharing.
I think sometimes kids that come from other countries, Mexico, Central America, and they don't feel connected, and so they find a connection sometimes with the gangs because, especially in school, if they don't know the language, they feel out of place. So that's one way to find a connection is in gangs.
Absolutely, yeah. I think feeling disconnected, it's a group that can support and give you a sense of unity and fitting in.
Yeah, Fernando, I think that's a great answer because I know our personal experience here in San Jose, we deal with that a lot. A lot of our clients that end up joining the gang is because they got jumped for speaking Spanish, for speaking a different language, and they label them as being a Southerner because they spoke Spanish and automatically they were thrown in as though you're part of this group just because they spoke a certain language or spoke Spanish. So we've seen that a lot, and it's still happening today here in San Jose.
Yeah, and that's basically why I joined gangs. I mean, I was born and raised here in San Jose, but I didn't speak Spanish till I was in the 3rd grade. English. I was in, my mom put me in all Spanish classes, so I was with all the ESL class. So back when I started, they started identifying me as one of the Mexican kids, that doesn't speak English. So, I joined gang for protection because, you would either, I was going to be on the blue side or red side. So I identified myself more with the blue because they spoke Spanish and I ended up joining.
And unfortunately, it's still happening today in our schools. A lot of kids are being labeled just because they come from a different country and they speak a different language. They assume a lot of these other gangs say, well, you speak Spanish, so you're part of this. And so, it's constant educating these young people that, they're just because they look differently, they're not gang. Just because they speak differently doesn't mean that they're gang. Any other comments before we're gonna try to run this slide and just like I said, let's make it interactive and just ask questions. Anyone else want to comment before we run through
I'd
the
like
slide?
to add on something here. I remember talking with this one kid who was in a gang north of Seattle, and he said, "Why would I ever want to work at Burger King if I can make $600 in a day?" And he saw it as all about business. It was all about making money, and he was very convincing about why he wanted to be part of a gang, because it was profitable and it gave him prestige. He got a good car out of the deal. He could buy, he had money to buy whatever he wanted to buy. So I didn't have an answer to the question why he should not be part of a gang.
Yeah, I think that's a huge reality is financially there can be a lot more access to quicker money and a lot more money than other options, which is it's really hard to argue against. And I think part of what that points out too is the reasons why to join a gang. There is no one reason. There's a lot of different, a lot of different ways and circumstances that can make a gang appealing.
Yeah, and I think what you shared is important. I was part of that, mindset too. Like, why would I go and when I was involved with gangs, it was about money for me as well. It was like, why would I go work and make $100 a day when I can make 1,000? So it was rhyme and reason for me. Like, I don't need an education. I can make what you're making in a month in one day. And so it's really important for us to try to debunk those things with young people, because we just had a young man, every time he would flash hundreds of dollars. And the hard part was like, look, this is temporary. Like, it's only for a season. Everything's good now, but then there's consequences that's gonna be attached to it when you get in trouble, when you get busted. But kids always think they know, and they don't have the experience what we went through. But again, all we can tell them is it's your choice. But yeah, we'll get into this now. And then again, there ain't no one reason why the kids join gang. Again, all we said, the surrogate family protection, identity recognition, respect, intimidation, peer pressure, money, family history, role models, the glamour. When you look at gangs, a lot of young women we deal with, young men, they see that it's like a family, right? We all know that. We're not preaching to the choir. A gang provides love, a safety. When you're a regular family disowns you, guess what? They'll take care of you. That's a mindset that a lot of our young people deal with, and I'm pretty sure all of you deal with as well. And so we have to figure out, how do we change that into a positive? And that's an ongoing thing that we continue to do, because the trend changes. And so what we have to do is we have to be able to be better, one step ahead of them. Like one kid told me a while back, like, if you could take that feeling of being powerful when I'm gangbanging, if you could substitute that, then I'll get out of the gang. And it took me a long time to try to figure that out. Like, how can I remove that from that thought? Because it's a mindset. Like, they didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to wear color. For me, it was a learned behavior. And that's what it came out. It's a learned behavior. So.
And I think a lot of our programming attempts to provide an alternative in terms of that love and family support and sense of belonging, to give another option. But yeah. So what is a gang?
So all of you, again, I'm not sure what states you guys are from, but I know for California, our penal code is 186.22, which it may be similar to you guys. Is any person who actively participates in any criminal street gang activity, working or with knowledge that is, I can't see the last part, members engaging in or have engaged in, it's blocked out then, or criminal gang activity, and whose willfully promotes further, assists, criminal conduct of gang members. There you go. So I'm not sure if this is the same penal code that's in other states, but this is for California only. I'm pretty sure it's something, the language is similar to that. So next slide then. Again, any ongoing organization, association, a group of 3 or more persons, whether formal or informal. And again, all this means 3 things. And we tell young people, there's 3 ways of you being identified into the system. And we, like, kids read this and they're like, what does that mean? So we just break it down in 3 simple things. We say, look, there's 3 ways that the police department is going to identify you as a gang member. And all of you should be aware when we tell parents, you need to be actively involved with your parents, with your child's life. And so there's 3 ways. The first way that kids get identified as being in a gang is verbally. If you tell an administrator or a law officer that I'm a gang member, they could take that to the bank, meaning that, you know what, that's good enough to identify you as being a gang member. That's it. It's verbally. The second one, is tattoos. If you have those different tattoos, and we'll show you real quick again. We're only talking about California. It's different in other states, but I'm pretty sure that this may rub off somewhere, in the other states. The other part is tattoos. So if people start putting tattoos and have their neighborhood, that's another way. And the last part is, the third one is photos. So if you take photos, usually in San Jose, I don't know how it works there, but when we were growing up, police would say, hey, come here, what gang you from? What's your nickname? All of you familiar with FI cards? Those little cards that police pull you over when they may contact you, they're called field investigation cards, FI cards. So they use that, and all that goes to a system. For example, if they say, Jose, what's your name? They'll say, oh, what neighborhood are you from? He said, oh, I'm from Washington. You said, what's your nickname? What's your gang name? He said, oh, my nickname is Crazy Cyclone. Well, you just told them that what gang you're from. You told me your nickname. All that goes into a database. In those little cards, when they stop you, that goes into a database that they put on there. Said, this is the day I stopped Jose. He told me that he's from this neighborhood. Told me that he's a gang member. His nickname. Kids don't understand that all that stuff can come back to them. And so what we try to do is educate young men and women that, hey, once you tell an officer that you're a gang member, you've already been identified in the system. And what they've done to us in the past was they would say, hey, get together, take a picture. I'm talking about 35 years ago. Maybe even, yeah.
And now we learned the hard way because, we thought we were down telling the cops, yeah, I'm from this neighborhood. And, they would take a picture of us. And they would give us they had the
Polaroid. Take a picture, give us, and keep one.
Yeah, so they had one in there for us to get identified by them.
And we didn't know it better. We were, 12, 13 years old, and, take pictures with your gang member friends and gang side. Well, guess what? A lot of us are getting prosecuted because of that. Because guilty by association, because we're throwing up our colors, throwing up gang. And so a lot of young people don't do that. And it's against the law for them to do that now. But do they continue to do it? Yes, they do, And so our job, even in schools, when we go to schools, we tell kids, don't go gang side, don't take pictures, because that's getting up to prosecute in the future. And we tell parents that if you are, because in San Jose, sometimes they tell parents, oh, your son's on a gang.
In probation.
Yeah, or no, they put like a gang contract, meaning that he's a gang member. Well, they can use that as well against him. If there's a crime that happens, he can be prosecuted. In California, we have a gang enhancement law. If you do a crime and you're not a gang member, for example, if you get caught for a stabbing, you're not a gang member, it's anywhere from 7 years and up. If you're a gang member, you get it 7 years, plus the enhancement is up to 14 years. So not only do you do the 7 years for the crime, because you're a gang member, you're adding another 7 to 14 years on top of your regular 7. And kids don't understand that. So it's really important to share that with our young people, because kids are supposed to make mistakes.
And then, with social media, they're putting all these pictures on Facebook, Instagram. We had a guy that changed his life around, and he was trying to subpoena his record. And one of our guys, our staff, went to court for him to speak on his behalf. And the judge, when he went up to speak, the judge already had all his pictures that he had on Facebook, which they were old pictures that he had when he was still active in the gang. And that judge just let him have it, so you're telling me you're subpoenaing his record, but you still have all these pictures on your Facebook, which they were old pictures, but he wasn't able to subpoena his record.
So it's important, like I said, that's the penal code. So we share that with kids. I know for you guys, it may be a little different, but I'm pretty sure it's similar to something like this. Yeah, so it sounds like there's a lot more. This presentation is a little old, but the numbers have doubled. And the most active gangs here right now in San Jose or Northern California is north and south. But we do a lot of north and south, which is red and blue. Next one, Dan. Again, you know, we have a lot of southern gangs that in Northern California. And again, you know, most of you probably already know this. You know, it's the Emirate is behind all this. It's the 13th letter of the Mexican alphabet, so that's why the 13 came. You know, they claim the 13 because it's the 13th letter of the Mexican alphabet, which is the M. Again, 3 dots. These are common tattoos in California. And again, these are Sureño tattoos. These are Sureño gang members. Like that. These are just the only reason why we cover their eyes because these are local members. The other ones are from the internet we got, but these are all local gang members. Some are deceased, but we just because sometimes we have parents, and so we cover the eyes so that some might be related and, you know, out of respect. These are just taggings again. Sureños crossing out Northerners. The 1-3 they use the 13 again, as we shared. You know, it's the 13th letter of the Mexican alphabet. This is a local gang here. All these are local gangs just crossing each other out. This is the newspaper that I shared about earlier. When kids wake up, this is the newspaper they read. They see what's going on in their neighborhood. They see the taggings. And we know who's at war. These are 2 neighborhoods close, maybe less than a mile and a half from each other. And so they have a lot of murder votes under their.
This guy's dead, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. So, and these guys have been going at war for the last 30 years. They both committed a few murders against each other.
So if you look at the tagging, I mean, they're crossing out SSP, and at the same time, they're calling out the cops. 8-7 on cops.
Yeah, they're saying murder cops too, you know, 1-8-7 on top right. Again, just more tagging. Try to get through this. Yeah, more tagging, yeah, just more tagging. Again, you know, this is all from the internet. A lot of it, now they're what we call tag banging on the internet. So a lot of them will put this on Facebook and, you know, and all social media. And they're showing, you know, their allegiance, showing that this is what they'll do to a Northerner. Let's go back. Again, these are weapons that they carry. This is their Pledge of Allegiance. I won't get into it. You guys can look at it, but just like we have the Pledge of Allegiance for the United States, they have their own. Again, just young men. The only reason we put this picture is because these are young men who didn't get that support. It ended up, you know, going to prison. Had they got some support, they probably wouldn't have went through what they went through in their lives. Again, this is the opposite rivals. Again, in San Jose, it's real big gang in Northern California. Again, the Nuestra Familia. 14th letter of the alphabet. Again, we'll send it to you guys. Keep going then. Keep going. They use a huelga bird. It's a positive thing for the farm workers in in your area or all in California. But the gangs have used that movement and, you know, and perverted it to their movement. And if you flip it upside down, it's different steps into their hierarchy. Again, you know, these are guys that they're not part of the farm workers. They just represent a gang from Northern California. Go ahead. And these are, yeah, just more graffiti. Go ahead. We're trying to run it. Again, these are middle school. You know, here in San Jose, we have a color policy. They're not supposed to be wearing colors, but you can see that this is at a portable at a middle school. And all these kids are wearing red, you know. Again, more internet stuff. He's showing a Northern gang member fighting, knocking out. You know, we share this with a lot of parents. Like, it's a beautiful picture. Go back to that, yeah. But if you look at it, there's a girl, you know, wearing an N on her buckle, and then parents say, well, they're color coordinated, but not. This is all gang stuff, you know. Again, just more female. But we just keep going. Again, you know, very creative. You see that they have sharks with 4 on there, representing the 4, you know, 14. If you look at it, they cross out the S's and put the 4. They don't put no Southern on there. I think we skip it and that would just have.
Yeah, I think at this point,
And then
just skip one.
very last one.
Yeah. These all, and so this is important. I mean, we share it with parents. The reason why this work needs to be done is because a lot of these kids are born and they're born into the gang of the family, which is very, very sad because here's 2 young babies who don't know that, you know, that they're being foster into this gang lifestyle because of mentality. We see a lot of in the malls, kids, gang members are pushing their little kids in their gang clothing. You know, they don't know no better, you know, but they're raised up to thinking that this is what their life's about. And we deal with a lot of families that have kids that we're working with. It's called gangs of family because that's all they know is that their parents are gang members. And so, you know what? They're just following the next generation. But we'll stop there so that we can have a conversation. I definitely want to be respectful to everyone's time. I know we went over and we've talked a lot.
You know, one of the things I was listening for, I've run across quite a few of the youth that are at the juvie where I work, who have a real sense that they're going to be dead by the time they're 20, that they don't expect to live very long. They have really a sense that, you know, their lives are going to be very short. And, you know, and so they might as well do what they're doing because they're not going to be in this world very long anyway.
Yeah, I can tell from my personal experience that I wanted to reach the age 17, you know, because I never thought I'd make it past 17. So that's a reality. It's a reality that kids nowadays that we deal with, I mean, for me, that was my reality. And we just joked about it. I mean, because after I became 18, I said, man, now we got to make it till 21. Now 21, 38. And then I said to Marquez, like, man, I'm 50 now. Like, man, like, we made it. You know,
Thank you, one more year.
You know, and so we're talking the difference, like, wow, like I never thought I'd be 17 years old. Because, you know, teachers told me, you'll be dead. I thought I'll be dead by 17, you know, because I lived it to the fullest. And so to hear you say that, it's really important because a lot of kids live that fast. Like I would share with a lot of people, when I was growing up, similar to a lot of young people, all I saw was green lights. There was no red light. There was no slowing down. And slowing down means that you were going to die. And so we have to tell kids, no, there's life after 16, 17, 18, but the decisions you make now is going to impact your tomorrow. And so we get them to think about tomorrow, because right now they're thinking for today. They're not thinking about tomorrow. A lot of our kids live on survival mode. So yeah, I'm glad you shared that.
And that's why the age limit goes up to 24, you know, try to get them when they're a little older. I mean, we work with anybody, and it doesn't matter if they're 28. I mean, some of them don't learn till like they're 30. And they're still asking for help, but we don't turn nobody down.
Yeah, because if you look at a lot of young men we dealt with, went to prison around 17. Now they're getting out, you know, 28, 30 years old. They still, no one's introduced them to become a man or a woman. Because when they went as a kid. So now they come out, they think that, oh, we can hang back out in the corner and drink alcohol. No, when you're an adult, you go to a bar. I mean, I'm not saying go to a bar, but I'm saying like you don't have to hang out and do what you used to do when you left. Yeah.
Great question. Any more
Yeah.
questions?
Any questions, concerns, anything you want to add to the presentation? Like I said, you know, we just wanted to have a conversation. That was a big.
I noticed that you didn't really talk about families. You didn't talk about parents. You didn't talk about any outreach programs to bring the youth and their families together. Is there a reason why for that?
So through the City of San Jose, we do have a parenting program which provides all those services. And so we do it as well, but because they're funded to do parenting, we refer them out to them. You know, it's a collaborative throughout the City of San Jose. But do we meet with parents? Yes, it's a big component to our program because you got to get the parents buy-in. And I can tell you a lot. I can't tell you. I'll go say probably 70% of our clients, they're single parent. You know, it's really hard. Mom is working 2 jobs. You know, dad is not in the picture, or dad is the only one there working 2-3 jobs. And so most of the kids come here because number one, we feed them. We feed them here. This is their only meal sometime. And so we have to figure out how do we get funding to feed them tonight? Because they only go to school to eat and they come here and that's the only time they eat.
Yeah, and a lot of them look at us as father
Yeah.
figures, you know? They expect us, like we just had recently last week, one of our clients, it was her birthday, you know, and she wanted us to buy her, she told us that her birthday was coming up because that wasn't gonna happen at home, you know? And we did the cake, we sang for her, I took her home, she was like, when I dropped her off, she told me, you know, Marquez, I really look up to you like my dad, you know? And that's why it's important that, you know, we communicate with some of these parents that are single, you know, that way, I kind of lost it right a little bit.
Yeah, we're always trying to incorporate the parents as much as we can. We're inviting them to award ceremonies for graduating from one of our groups, or if we're going on a river rafting trip, we're trying to get as many parents to come with us to have a family engagement. So it's always the goal to get the parents involved, but I think like So'o and Marquez are saying, a lot of their relationship with us too is like a surrogate older sibling or a surrogate parent.
Or just showing up to their house to do a home visit. You know, some of them don't expect nobody to go and visit them. You know, I know the person that helped me get out of the gang, I didn't go to school like for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden they show up around my neighborhood. I started running because I thought they were like probation, you know, and they were actually looking to see why wasn't I at school, you know. So those are things that we go out to the neighborhood, check up on the kids.
And the hard part is that we call parents and sometimes they don't answer. We have to go to the house. But it's most of the time when I call parents, just to tell them, hey, you know, we're having a ceremony or your son or daughter's doing well. Almost 80% of the phone call I have with parents, you know what they tell me? What did my son do this time? What did my daughter do this time? I'm like, wow, I'm just calling to say that, you know what? They're graduating from our program, that, you know, we're gonna have a ceremony, you know, and right away, because parents are so used to the negative part. And so we have to do more, you know, acknowledgement of the positive things that the kids are doing in their lives. But we definitely do reach out to the parents because it's an important piece. What we do here has to also reflect at home.
Yeah, definitely catching a kid doing something great and then bringing that back to the parent, especially in the school context where they normally are getting negative phone calls, can mean a lot. And sometimes they'll get emotional just having someone, another adult, notice the effort that their kid's putting in and the positive things that are happening. Because once that story gets set that they're like a bad kid, then that's all they're going to hear. So it's really important for us to notice those things and make sure those are becoming part of the story too for them.
And of course, on the opposite side, you have youth whose parents have been in gang life themselves.
Yes.
All their older relatives have been in trouble with the law. Some of them have been in prison. So they don't have any role models whatsoever in their family.
And some of these parents are still active, you know, and they want their kids to gangbang. I know there's been a few kids that were referred to our program, and we show up to do a home visit to let them know about our services. And once they see us, what we're about, they're like, nah, you know, we don't want you talking to our kids. And it's happened, and it sucks for the kids.
And then, you know, in my experience, something that's not talked about, and yet kids are very much aware of it, is that, you know, your LGBTQ kids who also have their own gangs for their protection, for their safety. And so, of course, all the other gangs pick on them.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think it's complex. There's a lot of inner gang dynamics that go on that just add layers and layers of complexity to what we're dealing with.
Do you have any work with those who are mentally ill? You know, because a lot of the mentally ill are out on the streets. They're young. They get caught up in that life.
One of our probation programs, its primary focus is mental health services. So we'll get referred youth who are on probation, lots of times with gang orders, to our program. The service providers and therapists will build a relationship with them, and then they'll address whatever underlying mental health issues are a huge factor in what they're going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's we kind of have a one-stop shop type operation that we're trying to run here, where we can get all aspects of a youth who might be involved with gangs, from out in the streets to early intervention to intervention once they're off probation to even if they're back in the hall.
You know, one of the things in working with volunteers, new volunteers who want to serve at our juvenile facility, is that many of our volunteers are clueless about gangs. They're not aware of them. They don't see the signs in their neighborhoods. And so part of the challenge is working with volunteers is helping them to raise their awareness and to be able to recognize the signs. And it's like one of those things is that after they've been involved for a little while helping in the system, they are surprised and shocked that they might have a gang operating in their parking lot of their local grocery store, or that, you know, that in their own neighborhood that there's gang activity that they were clueless about. And so part of the challenge is just raising awareness of what's happening within our own neighborhoods, within our own areas where we live.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, if they are working with gang impacted youth and they're clueless that they're involved in gangs, on some level, that's a good thing because it means they're seeing them as the person they are, not necessarily like the gang label. But I think also awareness of how this isn't just that problem that other people deal with. This is something that affects all of us, or at least that's a part of our community that we're a part of too. And these are members of our community who need to be included as well. I think that's important too.
Yeah, also with the parents, some of these parents are, like I said, they're blind to what they're buying their kids, we have, in the area that we work with, it's a southern area. So, but we do have a probation program here, like Dan was saying, and they do come and do therapy here. And some of these kids, they show up with their parents wearing either all red or blue with some gang stuff, we gotta go out and talk to them, dude, you know where you're coming, and your parents don't know what you're wearing. Like some of these parents don't know what they're buying their kids. That's just important that we let them know.
Yeah. Do you have any programs for helping to remove tattoos for
Yes.
those who are seeking to lead that life?
Yeah, we actually have two. So there's one that the city operates called the Clean Slate Program. And then also in Catholic Charities in Santa Cruz, which is really close to us, there's another place we can take youth who want to get their tattoos removed.
And again, that one actually takes adults.
Because I hear that every so often, where in order for them to be able to move on, they need to find some ways to remove their tats, especially if they're relocating, moving to a different town. I find they're fearful that sooner or later somebody will recognize some of their tattoos.
Yeah, luckily for us, we do have some good resources for that in the South Bay.
Well, thank you, everyone. Unfortunately, we are all out of time. And so this has been a wonderful conversation and very enlightening. I know, you said that, you're situated in California, but there's so many similarities. I'm in Chicago, so there's a whole lot of gang stuff going on here, and there's so many similarities. So this is useful information across the board of just ways to engage people, those young people, and to keep them out of the hands of gangs. So again, we thank you for sharing with us on today. We thank those who joined us for today. And there's just two short announcements. We have actually two additional webinars coming up on juveniles. One on February 16th. Cara's putting that on the screen with Father James Martin. And he will discuss pastoral care for and ministering to the LGBTQ juveniles. That would happen on February 16th at this time frame. Also on March 2nd, which is a month from today, we will have Father Stan Bosch talking about discussing how ministers can accompany juveniles. So again, the next couple of town hall meetings and webinars will be centered on youth. So we invite those who are directly working with youth or interested in working with youth to join us on that day. Again, we thank our panel and Father Jay for joining us on today, and have a blessed week. And we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar.